Hello, I hope you're all doing well and welcome to my Sims 3 family law video. So in this one I'm going to be covering the family laws of Sunset Valley. So these are the families that I found had some quite interesting law, and I thought, you know what, it'd be quite interesting to talk about it and just be a little Sims nerd. So I hope you're all comfy, I hope you all enjoy being a little Sims nerd, and let's just be nerds together. So how I'm going to do it, I'm going to start with newcomer family, then returning families. So I've got one newcomer family and I think it's 3 or 4. Let's have a look. So I'm going to be covering one newcomer, then 1, 2, 3. So 3. 3 returning. But these are quite interesting ones and I did enjoy researching these, so I hope you all enjoy. So let's get crack-a-lacking. So the newcomers, so these this is the first appearance in the Sims franchise, so there wasn't even a thing before Sims 3, or there wasn't a tyranny, should I say, before Sims 3. So we've got the Auto family. So we've got Nick and Theta Auto that are both in the adult life stage, so they are the parents, and then they have a teenage daughter called Holly, who is only acquaintances with her parents and the land grabs at the start of the game. So that's quite an interesting first bit to start with. Well, I found it interesting anyway, that it's only literally the 3 of them in the Auto family, and the teenage daughter is only acquaintances with her parents, so that's quite interesting, something to bear in mind. So the Autos have a business feud with the Landgrab family, who of course Nick and Theta are enemies with at the start of the game. And I'll be talking about the land grabs later on in this video. I'm going to do a separate little bit about the land grabs, so the Autos and land grabs do not get on and they are enemies. The Autos also live in a mansion in the upper class area of Sunset Valley, across from the land grab mansion, just to make things worse. The Autos are written to be the bad guys of Sunset Valley, as the town is filled with traditional old money families like the Goths and the land grabs. The Autos, on the other hand, are trying to change the system of the town to be a more modernised corporate fashion. This leaves the citizens of Sunset Valley to pick a side, where they decide to stay with tradition or they embrace the change. So what would you guys pick, or what do you guys get your Sims to pick? Are you more of a Goth or land grab sort of family, or do you prefer more the Autos? Let me know in the comments below. Let's get a discussion going on. So Nick and Theta have very much new money, as they are not afraid to ruffle feathers and plot the misfortune of those who stand in their way, and they like to flaunt their wealth through their clothes and material wealth. For example, Nick wears a fancy suit and Theta wears a mink coat with fur trimming, and all of their clothes scream wealthy compared to the land grabs who wear simple clothes. The Auto family own the most expensive car in the game, while the land grabs own a moderately priced car. And then lastly we have the mansions. So the Auto mansion is tacky and flaunts the Auto fortune, including golden furniture and excessive bookshelves and paintings. But the land grabs, on the other hand, have a simple yet elegant mansion. So that's quite an interesting one as well, between old money and new money. So with Nick and Theta being more new money, they're like everyone to know that they've got money just by looking at them, whereas the land grabs being old money, I guess they just let the family name talk to them, well, talk for them, should I say. And just dress a bit more normal, I guess, and don't worry about having the most expensive cars or furniture and stuff. And by the way, having golden furniture does not sound very comfortable, just putting that out there. So now we're going to talk about Holly. So Holly's not what you would expect as a daughter of the Auto family. She is not cool or tacky and has no enemies at the start of the game, and dresses like a normal teenager who could easily be mistaken as being from a middle class family. So that's quite interesting, and I guess that's why she's only acquaintances with her parents. I take it that she doesn't agree with her parents' ways by the sounds of it, and she has a good trait, whereas the parents have an evil trait, I believe. So yeah, does not sound too good, but I hope Holly does well. I know she normally does well in my games. She doesn't marry any of the Goths or land grabs, but she normally does well in my town, to be quite honest. So be interested in Heya does in your towns. And while I was researching, there are autos in different worlds, but I'll be covering those in future videos. I'm just going to focus on the Sunset Valley families now. So in future videos, you might hear about different auto families, family members, be that cousins, distant aunties, uncles, the whole shebang, or descendants of them, but they'll be from some part of the auto family. So there won't be Nick, Vita and Holly, but there could be relatives or just different versions of them, basically. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go on to the returning families. So for the first one, for the returning families, I thought I've got to go land grabs, considering as we just spoke about them for the autos. So we've got Jeffrey and Nancy that are both adults, and they've got a son called Malcolm who is a child. And he's friends with both his parents at the start of the game, but he has a high relationship with his dad compared to his mum. The Landgrab family live in one of the 3 mansions in Sunset Valley. So we've got the mansion for the Landgrabs, mansion for the Autos, and mansion for the Goths. So, and they are opposite the Autos. I find that really funny how they've got this view going on and they've got mansions right opposite each other. Like, can you imagine them just like flipping each other off in the morning or something? That'd be quite funny, to be fair. Anyway, so they live in one of the 3 mansions and they are very wealthy. Nancy is the one that comes from the Landgrab family by birth. So it's not her husband, it's Nancy. And she's followed the family legacy by becoming vice president of the business district. Nancy married a modest doctor named Jeffrey before the game started, who took her name for its privileged status. So that's quite interesting as well, because normally, I guess traditionally, it's when a man and woman get married, it's normally the woman that takes the man's name. But in this case, because Nancy has a Landgrab name, he took her name. I know that it can happen in Sims as well. I think how it normally works is that it depends on the sim. That I can't remember if it's a mod or if it's an actual thing. That's what I'm saying that. But I know in my game, because I have a story progression mod, I've got it set to whoever proposes, that's whose surname that they get when they get married. I think it does depend obviously what mods you guys have and stuff like that, but that's how it works. Mine will just go with whoever proposes. That's quite an interesting thing. So Nancy and Jeffrey went on to have a boy named Malcolm, who is a smart child, and Nancy is already trying to make him into the perfect heir to carry on the Landgrab name and influence. Unfortunately though, Nancy is very busy and unable to dote on Malcolm, and that is why he has a high relationship with his dad. And due to this close bond, little Malcolm wishes to be a doctor each time his dad gets promoted at work. So that's another interesting little tidbit, because Nancy's already planned out for Malcolm, good old little Malcolm, to be the future heir of the Landgrabs, being one of the older families, especially because she is the heir and she's done very well for herself, to carry on the influence and stuff. But then little Malcolm wants to be like his dad and be a celebrated doctor, so it'd be quite interesting to see what happens in the game if he follows his mum's footsteps or if he follows his dad's. So there are multiple references to the Landgrabs helping start the town. It is stated that Nancy's family more or less founded the town, and the description of Sunset Valley states that the town was founded by the Goths and built up by the Landgrabs. And I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but a lot of items in the game they say from the Landgrab Corporation. So that's like neat little reference. Like there are like random items and it will say that it's made from the Landgrabs. And I know that they have been in different Sims games as well, that they're responsible for different buildings, different technology, so that's quite an interesting little thing to look out for next time you're playing. So the Landgrab is old money, meaning they likely inherited their money from the earlier generation of Landgrabs that founded the town. So they are basically opposite to the Autos, hence why they've got this big ass view going on. But luckily the kids aren't involved, so I am glad about that, because just because your parents have got beef doesn't mean you're gonna have beef. Like, even though Holly's a teenager and Malcolm's a kid, I'm glad that they don't have beef. And same as the Autos, but with the Landgrabs there are references to different Landgrabs in different worlds, and as I've already said, I will be covering them in different videos that when I do the video for that particular world, so there may be additional land grabs cropping up every now and again, but there we go. So that's the land grabs. So next we've got the Goth family. Now every man and his dog knows about Bella Goth, but this is before Bella Goth became Bella Goth. So just a little thing, Bella Goth is Bella Bachelor in Sims 3. She is a child, so she's not part of the Goths. So this is before the whole where's Bella Goth, what happened to Bella Goth. So the Goth family appear in most, and if not all, of the Sims games, but I'll focus on Sims 3 Sunset Valley family in this video. We have Gunther and Cornelia, who are both in the adult life stages, and have the little child, little Mortimer Goth, that a lot of you probably know what happens to him when he gets older. So the Goth family are all bunny. So like the land grabs, they have inherited their wealth from earlier generations, and their manor was the first house to be built in Sunset Valley, and it presides over the town. So I found that quite interesting. I didn't know that before I was doing my research, that their house was actually the first house. I mean, it kind of makes sense considering as they invented Sunset Valley and they founded the town. I guess it is quite a cool little tidbit to throw in there. So the Goths hold a more traditional view, which is said to cause conflict with the Autos and force the citizens of Sunset Valley to pick a side. But then this is challenged as the Goths are actually friends with Heya, Auto at the start of the game. So that's quite interesting as well. So I am quite surprised about that, because I know that the rift is more towards the Autos and the land grabs, but then if the Goth family are more old school and old money, then surely they'd side with the land grabs. But then the friends with Heya, unless they're not really doing it for political side of things, who knows, unless it's a case of keep your friends closer but your enemies closer. Quite interesting to think about, isn't it? So this is also something that I just found quite interesting that I wanted to include. So the Sims 3 version of the Goth family are the most actually gothic looking compared to the other games. That is reflected in good old Mortimer and Gunther opting to wear a lot of black, and Cornelia wearing a lot of dark purple. Both colours are prominent in Gothic fashion. Not sure if you guys follow Gothic fashion, but I guess a lot of people, when you do think Goth, you think black, dark purple, those sort of colours, those sort of colour schemes. And it's quite interesting that, with the surname Goth, that Sims 3 version are the most Gothic looking ones. Because I guess when you look at Sims 2, for example, you think of Bella, Mortimer and the kids, they don't look Gothic. So, but when you look at Cornelia and Gunther, they do look quite Gothic. So it's quite interesting little detail that they've put in there. And as I said for the previous ones, there are different Goth family members in different worlds, which I didn't think there was in Sims 3. I thought it was more so just the main Goth family in Sims 1, 2, 3 and 4, but no, there are actually different relatives of the Goths in different worlds for Sims 3, so I'll be covering those in future videos. But that was quite interesting, because I thought, it was just one per, I don't know, just per game, I guess, so that's quite an interesting one. And then we're gonna go on to the final one. So this final one is, I find this one quite a sad one, especially as I've gotten older. But we're gonna be discussing Cumberbottom family. So this family only has one member, and that is Agnes Cumberbottom. And this story is one of the saddest, in my humble opinion. So Agnes is the aunt of Mortimer Goth, as she is Cornelia Goth's sister. So Cornelia's maiden name is Cumberbottom before she marries Gunther Goth. So Agnes is Mortimer's aunt. So Agnes is wealthy but alone, and is not by choice. She lives on the outskirts of town, so she's kind of more, she does have family in Sunset Valley because she has Cornelia, but she's more out the way, and she's more kind of lonely and by herself, unfortunately. Agnes is widowed at the start of the game, with her husband Eric Darling had sadly drowned before the start of the game. So when you boot up the game, and when you very first create your sim or whatever, or if you want to play your town, I always create me on sim, But yeah, if you do see Agnes around town, she starts off alone and grieving her husband, and his grave is actually still on her home lot, so the game must have started pretty soon after he drowned. And it is said that his ghost still haunts the house and scares away any possible suitors from getting together with Agnes. So yeah, I mean, it must have hit her quite hard. I mean, I'm fair play, because she's a young adult in the game, so she must have been newly married, and obviously grieving Eric. It seems like, you know, they're quite close, and it's just very sad. It said that Eric drowned actually on his and Agnes's honeymoon, before she could even change her name to his name. So it should have been Agnes Darling, but she stayed as Agnes Comfort Bottom. And it's thought that she wears black as she's still mourning his death, because whenever you see Agnes, she's always in a long black, so kind of like a funeral dress is probably the best way of explaining it. But yeah, I reckon that her character is very much still mourning the loss of her beloved Eric. And Agnes has a lavish modern home with expensive furniture and decor, and even an expensive sports car. However, there is an empty room across from her bedroom that appears to be half done. There is only a baby cot and teddy bear in it, along with empty walls, some of which are lined with childish wallpaper, which hints that Agnes and Eric wanted children and they were going to try for one, but obviously that didn't happen because he unfortunately drowned. So yeah, I find that one quite sad. I mean, I know in Sims 2, which takes place after Sims 3 in the timeline, Agnes is kind of a bit grumpy, because she's a grumpy old lady that doesn't like any Sims kissing in public, anything like that. She, you know, you get whacked with a handbag. But kind of listening to that backstory kind of explains that a bit more. Like, you know, she is newly married, and then on the honeymoon her husband dies. I mean, it's not exactly the nicest, and then especially if they've got to try for kids and then they never did, and then she's got a half-made nursery. Yeah, it's quite a sad one, but I've always found her character quite interesting, and I know when I first heard about that, my heart just broke for her, because I do get attached to my Sims, as I'm sure many of you guys do as well. I love my Sims. I really get invested in my Sims. But yeah, and when I was doing this, I didn't actually know, because I have played a lot in Sunset Valley. That is like my go-to one. But there are actually 3 crumple bottoms that live in the one that came with Supernatural, Moonlight Falls. There we go. I've got the name for a second then. So yeah, I will be covering them in the Moonlight Falls video that I'll be doing. But yeah, so that is the end of the first video to do with the Sims 3 family lore. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you all think. It's a different sort of video. Let me know which one is your favourite family, and which one would you rather side with, the new money or the old money family. So are you more of an auto family member, or would you be more a land grab or goth family member? And let me know in the comments below. Let's start a discussion going on. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And if you have any suggestions for any future videos, just let me know. I'll have my socials linked in the description below. Let me know in the comments below. My emails in my YouTube bio, and I'll see you all in the next one.